let's come into the last panel discussion. That will be how will service robots fit into education? So first of all, let's welcome the moderator, Heather Dunham, my good friend Heather. She's the founder of Silicon Valley Technology, Art, Green, and Sustainability, a TV show, educational website, and programs. And Ms. Dunham is one of the founding members of U.S. Green Building Council Northern California chapter, Silicon Valley branch. She was also on the board of Event Council at Silicon Valley Capital Club for 9 years, and she's very active in our community, wearing many hats. So next, let's welcome Heather to be the moderator and invite her panelist.
Hi guys. So I'm going to ask everybody, I don't know about you, but I'm going to ask everybody just to get up and stretch for a second.
Okay,
here
stretch
for a while.
a little bit. I agree.
Let's do a little stretch break. Let's do a quick stretch and yeah, get a little, it's kind of late, and let's do a little stretch. Something that AI can't do for us, right? We have to do that ourselves.
Right.
And, we have, I think, 3 panelists, right? So Sean, Mr. Thomas, and Lee Ivy. Actually, I think there's maybe even 4 panelists. Is everybody here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to waste time with introducing myself. You read a little intro. Can I have everybody just do a quick self intro? Ivy, let's start with you because you were the first one that popped up on the screen.
Okay. My name is Ivy. I'm the sales director of Newer Robotics. I would like to have a brief introduction about what our company do. Is like a little robot that we develop. We have the hardware and software design for these little robots, and now we use this for education. And we are the top. We are the biggest educational robot company in Taiwan. There are over 500 to 600 schools using our robot to do the education in their classroom. So I'm very glad to see everybody, and we can discuss this topic.
That is wonderful. And then is it Pippin Thomas? How do you pronounce your first name?
Pippin Thomas.
Pippin. Okay, Thomas. Should I call you Mr. Thomas?
Oh no, this Pippin is fine.
Okay, can you do a little introduction on yourself as well?
Yes, Heather. Yeah, nice to have you all together join for this wonderful panel and the hosting opportunity. I'm Pippin Thomas. I'm the CEO of iCuro. iCuro is an artificial intelligence systems company. So we focus on primarily building artificial intelligence products here in the Silicon Valley. I am actually joining you guys from the AI Robotics Lab in Santa Clara. And so with me is Pepper Robot. Pepper is one of the world's popular service robot used across many countries globally. We work with Pepper Robot. We don't build them or manufacture them, but we provide the software for different industries through Pepper Robot. And this is one of the other robots on my right side, which is a robot that's used for sanitizing, especially in this COVID-19 situation. We have built our own commercially viable and graded robot for sanitizing purposes, using in commercial buildings, facilities, workplaces, schools, and manufacturing centers. So it's a heavily commercial graded robot for sanitization purposes. So really happy to join in for today's panel and very excited to be joined with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Kasera is next, and we're pronouncing your name right.
Kusenya is my name.
Kusenya. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself to us?
Sure. So my name is Kusenya. I'm currently serving as the National Science Foundation's postdoctoral scholar, and I work as a product manager at an ed tech company called Chef Kuchulu. So we actually don't have robots yet, but we, as an ed tech company, we work to integrate cooking as a way to teach science, technology, math, English language arts, and social responsibility. So I'm very much looking to connect with you all on this topic. I have about 12 years of researching media and learning at this point, and we think really deeply about adaptive and artificial intelligence as they pertain to learning and education.
Well, there was a bunch of questions that were sent over, and the one that I thought was really important to kick this off is, in what area or what situation do you hope robots can help humans most in education? So I know you're each going to have a different answer. So I'm going to go, Pippin, I'm going to go back to you first, because I'm interested in the little guys behind you. I've been to many of the maker fairs here in the Bay Area, which last year got to 140,000 people. And then they shut it down, not because of COVID, but because they actually told them they couldn't host it in there anymore because it got so huge. And there were several robots, I think one from France, that they were just giving the software away so other people could use those robots and produce them. So let's hear from you about how you believe this is going to help with education in the future for humans.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. So, we've heard of these online classrooms, but now there is a transformation going on to bring robotic teachers. So once the COVID-19 is behind us and the classes are back in sessions, don't be surprised if your child comes home and tells you that there was a robot in the class. And that robot might have been just standing in for a teacher, or for sharing a particular topic or a subject or a particular theme to introduce to the students in a much more impactful way. And that's one of the reasons why I thought it is good to show the Pepper robot. It's just because it's more like a humanoid, and it has hands, legs, and it can move around. It has a display. It is very sensitive to sound. It can recognize you. So we have set it up when our visitors walk in, it'll recognize by name and being able to greet a person and work with an individual. So the robots have become much more smarter and more human looking. So you feel like you want to interact with it. So it has gone beyond the shape of a toy to something very interactive and interesting. And that's what would attract students and kids, because they want to have that interactive mechanism of sound and gestures and being able to be responsive and something that interacts with them in a very fun way. So for introducing a lot of interesting subjects, the robots could play a key role. And so even post-COVID-19, we believe that there is a lot more educational use cases that the institutions are now preparing for to launch inside this robot. So we primarily focus on building that software that is necessary to drive these kind of very engaging teaching plans and lessons through these robots. The robots also is very helpful for students who have other health reasons that they couldn't go to the schools very long. And that's also another effective way of helping students being more interactive. And it can quiz the student using the speech and the voice, as well as the eye recognition. So both the cameras on the robot's eyes, as well as the sensors on robots' hands, can be used for interacting with the students in a much more interactive way, just like a teacher would do. So that's where I see where the industry is headed, and that's where I see the effective learning mechanisms that takes place with the help of robots.
Well, you certainly jumped ahead to the question too, so we don't have to go there with you. That with what robots will do for education in the future. And this is really interesting because I have several friends, probably about 10 friends of the 20,000 people on my email list who are substitute teachers. And a couple of them are saying they're not going to go back at all. It's not worth the pay to risk their health at their age. Some of them are in their 50s, some are in their 40s. So it's a really interesting point that this may be the substitute teacher of the future for the regular teachers that call in sick. Anyway, let's see. So, and I know I'm going to murder your name again. Is it Kishna?
Kusenya.
Kusenya. Okay, I'm going to
Sure.
say it 100 times in my head. Kusenya, would you like to answer this as well? And it sounds like this is right up your alley. So yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. I really love that Pippin brought up telepresence. I think that's definitely an area. So rather than decreasing presence or becoming less human, I think robots are definitely tools that can make us more human and increase presence, especially for kids that are sick or cannot be present in the same way. So I've seen telepresence be a very promising research venture. Similarly with adaptive learning and artificial intelligence, so robots as conversational agents, right? So tools that actually help teachers when they have a large classroom, they cannot adapt their teaching to each particular child. And this is where technology, as any tool created by humans, can be either helpful or harmful, right? Depending on the philosophy of the teacher. And hopefully we get to a point where we really believe that personalizable, customizable learning is where we want to meet every kid where they're at and to serve their needs, right? So I think with tools such as service robots, artificial intelligence, and adaptive learning, we will have a much more customizable educational system.
So it's really an interesting, I mean, I don't have children myself, but I have nieces and nephews. So it's really an interesting idea of the future. And I keep looking at Pippin, and I'm probably dating myself here, but I'm thinking of like Lost in Space, right? The robot that both the new version and the Netflix version, the older version, kind of reminds you of, you know, that robot. I forget the robot's name. Somebody on the here will probably remember, but following, you know, the young Will around and helping him as an assist, but also, you know, as a computer and other things. So Ivy Lee, let's see, where are you here still? Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Let's go with you next.
Okay, I would like to discuss the subjects that we have that Pippin has said. I totally agree that robot has the emotion. It can interact with people, and the children are very attracted by robots because it is very cute and it's designed by imitate human behavior. So actually, I think there's another applications that we are using right now, and it is very successfully. It's one of our customers. He's using our robots to do the autism treatment because these autism kids, they have less chance to interact with people, and they are not able to build their emotions and to show their social behavior with others. So there's also research showed that people after the robot treatment, they are able to do better than the others without robot treatment. Yeah, so this is what I want to share with others. So, you know, besides in the classroom, it can also use on the autism treatment, and this is very successful. Yeah, in our case.
So I'm gonna we touched on what robots can do for education, but is there more that you want to share, and what functions, you know, maybe should they have in the future? But I'm also going to bring up the concerns of buying a robot for education. Is it, you know, cost prohibitive for schools right now to do that? Who wants to take that first?
Okay, I can take that first.
Okay.
I think the current challenge, the biggest challenge for the robot and for the classroom is all the robots are too expensive. What we see, like, I'm sorry, I will take the paper as an example. Paper is very, very expensive, and they're still using the rental. The business is still using the rental service. They are not able to buy it for the school because it's too expensive. But for now, everybody knows that robot is very helpful for people, and everybody or every family should have one robot. But for now, the price is too high. People are not able to buy it. So actually what we do, our solution is that we do the huge cost down on our robots and we can provide maybe the 10 times the 1/10 of the price on the retail price for people for the people that they can afford it. And we also have the platforms for people that can customize the content on our robots and do the performance, in their either in the classroom or in any type of industry. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the biggest challenge for the robot market, and we are able to provide a solution for it.
Kusenya, do you want to comment as well?
Yeah, I think that as far as the cost of anything in education, I do think prohibitive costs are a challenge, especially for the philanthropic mission that we all share, right? So I definitely think that once research has shown the effectiveness, and then I think, Ivy, what you're saying is that there's also a public health benefit that's associated with helping differently abled children and differently abled adults. And that benefit could potentially outweigh any costs with the purchase, right? So I think as far as the cost versus benefit question, I think that we'll definitely see some movement on the front of that research.
Yeah, so to add to that, Heather, I think the other panelists have rightly pointed out, the current robots are very sophisticated, humanoid in nature. They are, about 3.5, 4 feet taller. So it really is imitating all the human physics and trying to capture the attention and everything. So those are primarily owned by large institutions because they are expensive. And then some of them, as Ivy pointed out, they're being rented or leased as a service, even the robots as a service type of a business model. So that's really picking up, not just in education, but also in healthcare. There are a lot of healthcare organizations using these robots to help within their industry to work with the patients, especially pediatrics. And that's a very good bonding case study. There are several of them happening. But what the trend now is going forward is to make these robots very affordable. And that's the transformation that I'm seeing in the marketplace today, where there is a lot of work going on with companies that are being represented here too, that are building robots to make it more affordable and having every household own a robot. And it could be a smaller size, not the size as a 3.5, 4 feet robot, but it'll be maybe on a tabletop, or it can move around. It will have tiny wheels around it. It'll have all the similar sensors like a camera, speed sensor, the camera sensors, the vision sensors, and touch sensors. So it'll have all the basic features, but it'll be much more interactive and being able to be afford within a particular household. And that too, it'll learn. It's a very adaptive learning. It's a reinforcement learning that runs as a software within it, because then it'll also recognize the sound of different children within a household, the sound of a father, a mother versus the kids. So it can actually understand who the person is talking to and being able to pick up dialogue from where it left off. So it'll really getting smart. The software is very AI enabled within these robots, and the sensor prices are also going lower. So now the manufacturers are stepping up and bringing much more affordable models, which is more software defined, because typically the price of a robot is all in its hardware. You have to have this beautiful case and all the machinery work together, motors, the controllers, all this extra sensors that are on there for obstacle avoidance and everything. All those additional sensors are very expensive. So now if you try to miniaturize these sensors and make it more affordable, and the size also to an affordable price point, you can now have a more software-centric robot which can be out the door to many of the households. And now that'll make it more practical for individuals or for families to start buying them, perhaps a Christmas gift for their children, to have something like this, which is very affordable and being able to make it very tailored and personalized for a family. And that's the way things are moving. And we're certainly seeing a lot of applications that are being requested, because we focus on the AI software side. So many of the robotic manufacturers do work with us and collaborate with us in deploying these kind of very custom learning pathways for the robots to be deployed in the houses and the households that can purchase them. So that's definitely the way things are progressing. You're on mute.
I'm seeing in the background the head of the robot. Is it Pippin? I don't know if he's going up against the wall, but it's like his, I don't know. It's just very funny.
It's basically following the sounds wherever it is.
Okay.
So I think it's listening to the background sound there. Hey, Pepper. Pepper. It's just trying to get some echo from the other side. So it's just trying to rotate around.
So I'm going back to Maker Faire in the last 3 years, and I cannot remember the name of the robot, but it was an open source AI. So do you see that happening a little bit more now? Is there going to be more open source? And not everybody is techie enough to, go get a Raspberry Pi and build their own robots. But do you see that happening more? Because the maker and making more electronics at home seems to be, at least here in Silicon Valley, I'm not sure about other places, but it seems to be a thing that people are interested in doing, especially right now with so much time at home. Ivy Lee, and anybody want to answer that one? If you're seeing a lot more open source available?
Yes, yeah. Let me also give some of the insights into that. As you rightly pointed out, the open source AI is becoming a fabric that connects all those pieces together. And making it open source, it helps more developers to come into the forum and bring more innovation, drive more innovation faster, quicker, and also cheaper, because it helps you to offer some of those features that the industry needs, and being able to promote those features through this open source forums. So it's really a very valuable forum for the industry, and especially in education, as we can see the massive online education capabilities that are out there today through massive online industries and online education channels that are out producing a lot more material for different subjects and different areas for students to learn and apply and do more exercise. These forums are actually evolving from that learning capability to bring those software capabilities to the robot. And it is actually promoting quite a number of learning capabilities. As the manufacturers pick up, they can also deploy them at much less price point, which makes it even more attractive for people to embrace these technologies. So that's very much a new trend, which was already there in many other industries, but bringing that into the world of AI, it is actually dominating it. The second factor, which I like to wrap up with, is the bias of the data, the bias of the learning approaches. So different people learn in different ways. So instead of one company trying to, or one region or one country trying to develop a particular way of training and tutoring, now you have a variety of dimensions applied from different parts of the world who can contribute to. So it's not biased to a particular learning methodology or a system. You have a lot more folks around the world promoting and guiding and giving value to that bias that needs to be unbiased, and being able to deliver this in a much compelling manner so that it can be adopted to different regions, languages, cultures. So that's something also being very much a value that OpenAI Forum is promoting.
Ladies, do you want to add anything too?
Yes, I totally agree. I'm sorry, is that me?
No, it's all good.
Okay, I totally agree with Pippin's point that I think the biggest challenge for robot is that people don't see us a consumer product, electronic product. People see it as a friend or is a human, as a kid to grow with the others. So I think to expand the robot to other countries or other regions is not just translate to other language. It had to fit the other country's culture. You have to say the local language, and I would take Taiwan and China as an example. Like we both speak Chinese, but we have the different words to describe the same things. If you use the wrong words, that people cannot accept that. So this is a very highly localization for this kind of product. So I agree with that. The open source is really important. That to have a platforms, have more people to build their software and in this robot. And also this is another problem on the robot industry is that this is a lot of content that most of people still have no idea how can they use the robot. And they are not satisfied with what robot have right now. They expecting robot can do more for them. So if we have open source, that we can have more people to have the input in the robot and to do more application. I think that would be very helpful. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, and this is circling back to your point about maker education, Heather, this idea of making robots talk or doing something tangible or even coding machines, learning computational thinking, or just learning how machines work has been shown to be a really beneficial experience, a tangible, relational, concrete learning experience for many children. As we know right now, a lot of the sort of lecture-based online learning, like I'm lecturing you right now, like this might not be effective because there's no purpose and no so what for you to do with this knowledge. However,
right, it's not tactical. Some kids learn tactical, some are visual, right? So
yeah. both tactile and tactical, exactly. So this idea of you having a reason, a purpose for doing something, right? So coding robots within the maker education umbrella has been shown to be really beneficial. So I think that's also another appropriation or affordance of this movement.
I have a 5-year-old nephew, great nephew in Hawaii that we just bought a kid's scientific microscope. And then I bought along with it, although the book is probably a college level one, is How Things Work. And it talks about how solar works and how a steam engine works. And he's already loving to put stuff together. And, when I was a kid, my dad would work on cars just for fun. And I would go along with him and, work on the car and I, get up on the roof and do things. I was very hands-on, and he didn't live past the time I was 14, but I think if he lived, I probably would have worked with my hands more as an adult. I still get on the roof and clean my roof myself, although the knees are going, but it's interesting how we learn. And I love to read, and I apparently retain 99% of what I read, but I'm also very visual and like the video thing, which is, why I produce a TV show. But so it's interesting, how this might pan out in the future. And I guess one of the fourth question, I'm not sure how much time we have left, Sandy and Diane, but the fourth question I want to make sure we got to.
Heather, you got 5 minutes to go.
Okay, so we'll have to come back to this later, but what the biggest challenges are for families right now, obviously with COVID, and how people can use AI in the future for education, how that's going to commingle. Maybe that's something that you guys can answer written and then put that in, since we have 5 minutes left. Is there anything that you guys want to close with?
Yeah, go ahead, Kusenya.
Yeah, I think there was a question from the audience that's more directed to you, Ivy, or you, Pippin. how many kids in the classroom do you, or I guess maybe is most optimal with a robot like the ones we're seeing on the screen?
Thank you.
Yeah, so the ones that we had experience with, typically on a scale of 8 to 10 students, interacting and jointly working together, rather than having a much larger group. And what we also noticed is the students are given breakout sessions. So during the entire time frame, they will have certain breakout sessions for anywhere from 30 to 40 minutes. So smaller groups are then asked to go and do the interaction with the robot as a part of the learning exercise. So that's something that we have noticed. In the schools where there is also a robotic clubs, some schools do have robotic clubs, and they spend a whole lot of time, more than that, not only from applying the software and building the software perspective, but they also take the time and effort to create this as a club for them to work on an ongoing basis. So they work in the evenings, the weekends, to continue to build the next generation software in order to work with these robots. And those are also group sizes under 10. So mostly 10, below 10 is a very effective number. It's a short answer.
Ivy, do you want to add anything?
Okay. In Taiwan, we actually have like 4 to 5 people as a group. So the reason we have 4 to 5 is that sometimes the children see the robot, they are crazy. And when robot smile or robot dance, they are too crazy about it, and the teacher is not able to control the kids. So that we would like to break out to a small group, and that would be better control for the kids and for the learning process. So usually we have one school, they have 5 robots for like 20 to 25 students in a classroom. Yeah.
And do they, is it funded in Taiwan by the government, or do they have to find private funding to put those in the school? How does that work?
Sorry, can you say again your question?
To have the robots in the school, you said 20 to 30 students. How many robots do they have per school, and is it funded? Is it privately funded, or is it funded by the government? It's probably funded by the government, right?
Both. We have a government who purchased like 1,000 robots for all the city schools. And the school teachers, they have to provide their proposal, the teaching proposal, for the government to apply for the robots. For school, this is for free. But some of the schools, they have the budget. They purchase the robot directly from us. So that's a both way for the business model. Yeah.
Okay. Any other last thoughts? I think it's probably been 5 minutes, right, Diane? Are we?
No, you only got like 1 minute. You already almost used your 5 minutes. Okay.
So, and Kishna, do you want to say anything? You didn't say anything final for your thoughts for everybody?
My final thoughts, Heather, would be the same as I started with, that I think that intentionality comes first. I think most of us in this particular panel are designers, right? So I think that robots can be used in reductive ways as like homework assignments and so on. And to circle back to your question about the current situation with COVID fatigue and with many kids basically, losing focus and dropping out of the school system, I think what we must consider first and foremost is the need to learn. And that's where robots can really help as conversational agents, as methods for practicing the learning, or for having a purpose for like making or coding or something like that. But that need to learn needs to come first.
And from my end, some final thoughts is that we're seeing in healthcare personalized medicine. We're seeing in automotive and other sectors, very personalized ways of working with the consumer. In retail, the same thing. Education needs to be personalized too. Every kid learns in their own way, in their own way of understanding and learning things. So robots can play a very key role in personalizing a learning pathway for each student or each children based on their learning abilities and assessing them as it goes through. And it can modulate those different teaching topics based on the students' understanding and the grasping and applying them. And that's very important because today, a lot of the things are just learning and doing tests. But now robots can really guide through applications where you can really evaluate the students' strength in that area and hone in their abilities to do the best so that they can start creating their own careers and forming their careers, whichever they want. But robots is just an enabler to make that happen.
Okay. For me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I expecting that students can learn better with the robots because robot is more attractive than to learn with the iPad or with computer. So I think the children can be more focused to interact with the robot, especially they can also learn the social behavior and the emotion with the robot. So I think the robot can help students in any kind of perspective. And I also expecting that there's a customized robot for each family. So that we can all have one robot in their family. And this is a cost effective that people can afford it. Thank you.
Diane, back to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Heather, for the wonderful moderating job. And I especially want to thank to Ivy, James, and Wayne. And actually, they're in Asia, and they got up early in the morning and joined our discussion today. So we're going to take off very soon. I want to thank everybody again. Thanks to all the speakers, and thanks to all the audience.